I think we're gonna rally pretty strongly in August. So I think we can get back to 65 or get to 65, 6,600 all-time highs in the next couple weeks.
And then 7,000 in the next 12 months, above that?
Yeah, probably well above that.
Well above that.
Yeah.
So I tell you what, there's always Bitcoin available, just depends on what you're willing to pay for it. And so what I think will happen is this price will continue to discover higher because Bitcoin is the scarcest thing. It's inelastic to the amount of demand that searches for it. So the amount of buying power that we're seeing from the capital markets, from the ETFs, and potentially from nation states like the United States, I think they'll find the supply they're looking for. They're just gonna have to go get it at a higher price.
Tom Lee began by diagnosing the current state of the equity markets. Last week, we witnessed a textbook example of consolidation, 5 consecutive trading sessions where the markets opened higher but closed lower. This pattern is known as a bearish engulfing, a clear technical sign that the market is digesting recent gains. And that digestion is not unwarranted. Since the April lows, the market has surged over 28%.
Please take a little time to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more videos like this. You can also check out our other videos on cryptocurrencies and the overall digital asset space and drop your comments and observations in the comments section below. Everything you do helps with the YouTube algorithm and immensely contributes to the channel's growth. Thanks and enjoy the video.
Last week was definitely consolidation because we had 5 days where the market opened higher and closed lower.
Really?
And they call that bearish engulfing. It makes sense because we're consolidating that 28% gain from the April lows. And on the job stuff, I think it's just the data's catching up to what we already know. The labor market's been soft, right? So it's, I think, a positive setup because now the Fed has more ammunition to make a dovish pivot in the fall. And it's not too late because we know the thing that they're going to stimulate is the housing market. And you had a couple guests earlier talking about that. And so that is what strengthens the economy in 2026. So I think it's quite a positive setup. We're just consolidating and then we make a bigger move higher.
Is it fair to say that since it's a dual mandate, that maybe the Fed should have been able to think that there was more risk to a slowdown than to inflation? Do you think they missed that a little bit and they're fighting? I don't know, but Trump said you got to cut, so they couldn't. Maybe they had to err that way just for political reasons.
Yeah, I think the Fed needs to demonstrate independence, but you're right. I think when they look at their dual mandate, they're probably drifting further from the employment metric now because the unemployment rate, if you use the existing participation rate before this report, it's almost 5% now. So the Fed now has to be considering the risk of jobs market actually going into a cycle of weakening.
Right, but you have also been, I guess dovish is the word, on inflation. You have not thought that there was going to be necessarily a big impact from the tariff regime.
That's right. And I think the biggest takeaway is, first of all, if you look at the latest inflation report, the goods component that are tariff-driven, it's been only mild. But also, if you use the same inflation measure Europe uses, which is inflation ex housing, we're actually under 2%. The Fed, if they were the ECB, would be cutting right now.
That's interesting. So by the end of the year, or what target are you using now, and what time frame?
I think we're gonna rally pretty strongly in August. So I think we can get back to 65 or get to 65, 6,600 all-time highs in the next couple weeks.
And then 7,000 in the next 12 months, above that?
Yeah, probably well above that.
Well above that.
Yeah.
You know what's fascinating about the asset, and it's not intuitive because it's so rare, is that, to your point, it is definitively scarce. So if everyone in the world wanted an iPhone, Apple could make more. If everyone in the world wanted a McDonald's cheeseburger, McDonald's could make more. The fact that Bitcoin cannot increase its supply means the new supply comes from the market. If you want more Bitcoin, you don't go to the Bitcoin factory to get one. You have to go up in price. Is there enough Bitcoin for me at 120,000? No. Okay, 130, 140, 150. So I tell you what, there's always Bitcoin available. just depends on what you're willing to pay for it. And so what I think will happen is this price will continue to discover higher because Bitcoin is the scarcest thing. It's inelastic to the amount of demand that searches for it. So the amount of buying power that we're seeing from the capital markets, from the ETFs, and potentially from nation states like the United States, I think they'll find the supply they're looking for. They're just going to have to go get it at a higher price.
Would you expand to other digital coins, for instance, become a treasury company for Ether or Solana or something else?
Absolutely not. And I'll tell you guys why. I made you laugh there,
Yeah,
didn't
because
I?
you guys are all maxis. Like, you talk to somebody who has an Ether treasury company, and they'd say the same thing about Bitcoin.
Yeah, so
You can't mix the two ever?
Well, little history lesson. The term maxi was actually invented by Vitalik Buterin. It was a diss. It was slander. You know, I now take it as a compliment. But to be clear, I don't self-prescribe that. Little background on my opinion. Okay, us humans own a little over $900 trillion worth of stuff. Currencies, sovereign debt, real estate, precious metals, fine art, all of the things that we collectively own as a species. About half of that, so call it $400 to $500 trillion worth of it, we're using to save money, right? You own the $10 million art painting not to put on your wall so your toddler can throw spaghetti at it and ruin it. You own it because you want to sell it for $11 million in the future. You own the real estate not to consume it because you're living in it, but because you're trying to save and build a real estate portfolio. So that the amount of wealth humans have created that they want to bring with them tomorrow and save into the future is about $400 to $500 trillion. To me, that's what Bitcoin's going after. It's that pristine store of value. It's that pure money, right? What is Ethereum? What is Dogecoin? What is Solana? To me, I don't know. At best, a technology. Are these things going after Apple, Amazon? If they are, let's go out and give Ethereum credit that I don't think it deserves and say it's going to achieve what Amazon has achieved. Okay, $2 trillion, $3 trillion worth of value to society. Reasonable, nice, a new cool tech stock, and that's if they go on to achieve that. If Bitcoin goes on to achieve a small fraction of the $400 to $500 trillion that humans are looking to bring with them tomorrow, we're talking about tens of trillions of dollars of appreciation. So it's an orders of magnitude larger problem Bitcoin's going after. It's an orders of magnitude sounder bedrock to build a treasury. I do not want to build a treasury on potentially the next Amazon. I want to build a treasury on the new gold, on the new sovereign debt, on the new currency, on the new dollar. So that, for me, our shareholders should know I will never own another asset outside Bitcoin.
This leads into a broader discussion about Bitcoin maximalism, something Lee addresses with both humor and history. He recalls that the term maxi was originally a slur coined by Ethereum co-founder Vitalik Buterin. Today, Lee wears it as a badge of honor. His company, soon to go public, is the world's first Bitcoin native firm. Not a pivot, not a repackaged tech firm, but an entity built from the ground up around Bitcoin.
So Bitcoin purist or maxi, as Tim just reminded us. Jack, you call yourself the first ever Bitcoin native company that expects to be publicly listed. Any thoughts on what stock exchange? Would it be NYSE? Would it be NASDAQ? Could it even be, let's say, the Texas Stock Exchange, which will begin listings at the end of 2026?
We want to do what's best for Bitcoin and our shareholders. We're open to all relationships that help us achieve that. That's our banking partners, that's the exchanges. I mean, for us, it's about being performant in Bitcoin terms and serving the Bitcoin network and growing alongside of it. And yeah, for us being a Bitcoin native business, again, we didn't pivot from an old business model. We aren't a company that needs a new direction. We are Bitcoiners. We've been in this space for over a decade, and so we're native to our metrics, to our core, to our operating business, and that's what we mean. And whatever partners along the way, exchanges, banks that want to support us on our mission, I'm happy to work with them.
Jack, still a lot of skeptics out there who might watch this and say, wait a second, is the point of Bitcoin just for the people who have it now to get wealthier and wealthier? The largest holders of Marathon, of you guys, and of Strategy, convince them that there is a use case beyond just buying and holding, that this is a useful technology?
Well, I think the use case for Bitcoin from the highest level possible is I've created value and I want to keep it. That's it. I got a chuckle out of you. That's true. I got up out of bed. I sacrificed. I worked. I commuted. I did tasks. I created products. I created value for those around me. I want to keep that value.
But even though it's called a cryptocurrency, it's not used widespread as a currency. It's used as something that will accumulate or that people think will accumulate in value.
Yes, I think the definitions of currency and money and how we think of medium of exchange, store of value, I think it gets too complicated. And sometimes Bitcoin is so simple that people don't believe it can be that simple. The reality is money is what you acquire in exchange for your effort, your time, your energy. It's our time and energy in abstracted form. And I exchange my work hours for it so that I can later get the stuff I need in my life. I want to go to Whole Foods and get a steak. I want to go on vacation. I need to pay rent. That's what money's for, is to allow me to create value and take it with me tomorrow. And that's the use case. And today, it's increasingly difficult to achieve that. I can't save it in dollars. We all know that. Okay, you're going to force me to understand Japanese central bank monetary policy? You're going to force me to understand what tech stocks to pick? No, how about something that's definitively scarce, no one can inflate, I can store for free, I can move cheaply, and that I could put it in my brain. And that's the use case, and we all have that use case. Nation state, corporations, families, individuals. Simply put, I think everyone can find value in a technology that is open source and solve that for everybody.
Bitmine, we mentioned that at the top, is going to be, in your view, the micro strategy or strategy of Ethereum or Ether.
Yes, that's right. Just a month ago, I was on the show to announce I was becoming chairman. And at the time, the stock was $4.50, and we announced a $250 million investment led by Founders Fund and Mosaics and others. But today, we announced that we reached almost $3 billion worth of ETH. And
the largest ETH holder, then.
Yeah, the largest ETH treasury in the world, and the third largest crypto treasury in the world. And we also announced that Bill Miller III made a major investment last week into Bitmine, so that he joins Kathy Woods in investing in our company in the past couple weeks.
That's the Bill Miller from Legg Mason we all know.
Yes,
right?
that's right. The Bill Miller that we all know.
Yep.
Yes,
he was super early.
Yeah.
On crypto, too.
No, that's what I was saying. Super. He was like, right? What was he getting Bitcoin at? 2012, 13?
Yeah, he has some of the lowest cost Bitcoin out there.
What's your symbol? What is Bitmine?
It's ticker BMNR, and the stock now is around 32. So in the past, $4.50. Yeah.
Tom Lee sees a bullish setup for both traditional markets and Bitcoin, powered by weakening labor data, moderating inflation, and a Fed that's ready to pivot. In the digital asset space, scarcity rules, and Bitcoin stands alone as the most credible candidate for a global savings mechanism. Meanwhile, Ethereum is gaining ground through institutional adoption, with companies like Bitmine positioning themselves to become the micro-strategy of ETH.